This is a submission for the PMM Music Festival. How to Make Letterpress Greeting Cards by Ren Schmidt, featuring music by Dutch Jordan, Gordon Neal, and Jamie Soph. With special thanks to Jane Goodrich and James Van Pernis of Saturn Press, and to the project's sponsor, Marika McLaughlin. Step 1. Repurpose ephemera artwork. Ephemera are items of collectible memorabilia, typically written or printed, that were originally expected to only have short-term usefulness. For this card, the fox ephemera was originally the artwork on a Russian matchbox. If there will be multiple colors on the final card, like this one, the artwork must be redrawn in black in multiple parts. Each portion of the art is redrawn by its unique color. These drawings will be turned into plastic printing plates and used to print the corresponding color onto the cards. Here we see the mock-up of the original artwork as well as the plastic printing plates for each color in the card. Like the original matchbox, the background will be green, the fox's body will be red, and its eyes, whiskers, nose, and feet will be black. Step 2. Set the plastic printing plate. We start by mounting the plastic plate for the green background to an aluminum block, placing it in the correct spot for a 5x7-inch greeting card. Printers measure in units called picas and points to make sure the block plate is correct proportionally when printing onto paper. Step 3. Mix the ink. First, we use a color formula guidebook to find the correct shade of green to match the mock-up. Once the shade is found, we write down the formula on a piece of paper that we will use to mix the ink. This shade of green was made up of yellow, blue, and a little bit of black. The ink is oil-based and behaves like the ink inside of a ballpoint pen. To print around 3,000 cards, we need about 3 ounces of the mixed green ink. This requires some arithmetic to figure out how much of each primary color to use. The next step is to oil the printing press. The press we are using is a Miehle Vertical V45, which was made in Chicago, Illinois in 1932. This printing press has multiple oil holes that must be oiled consistently to run smoothly. As James said to me, just like the Tin Man, if you oil the knees and elbows, he'll run all the way to Oz. And, just like the Tin Man's joints, each part of the printing press that moves or rotates together in any way must be regularly oiled to maintain the performance of the antique machine. Once everything is prepared to run, it's time to apply the ink to the press. We scrape green ink off the surface where we mixed it and swipe it onto the press's ink rollers. We start the press and let the rollers turn until the ink has distributed more evenly. After inking the press, we must place the aluminum block with the plastic printing plate for the background into the letterpress, and then we can begin printing. After about 2 swipes of the press, we will see the plastic printing plate covered with green ink. Now we can begin printing. When we have loaded a stack of cardstock paper onto the printing press, we can let the machine start running. The front of this press operates by grabbing onto one piece of paper at a time, essentially quickly stamping the paper with the ink-covered plastic plate. The back of the press then grabs onto this stamped piece of paper, which now has the green background printed onto it, and sets it into a neat pile. As we can see, this process, from front to back, happens within a matter of seconds. From the 3 ounces of ink that we mixed, we were able to print a total of about 3,250 cards with the green background. Step 7 is to repeat the process for each new color. We repeat this process for the other 2 colors, the red for the fox's body, and lastly the black for details of the fox like its nose and ears, as well as for any type we will use for this card. Step 8. Set the type. This is what a case of type looks like. This one contains size 8 Gaudy old-style lead type. In the modern day, we often refer to letters as upper or lowercase based on their size, but what most people don't know is the common terms for upper and lowercase letters originated in the letterpress community. Historically, at a printer's workbench, they would have 2 cases of letters, one above the other. The case on top, or the upper case, contained the larger or capital letters. The case on the bottom was referred to as the lowercase. This case would be easier to reach and contained the smaller letters which were used more frequently in printing. Step 9. Print the type. This is the composing stick which is used to compose the type that will be on the card. The type is set by hand, 1 letter at a time, and upside down, so when it is pressed into the paper, it prints right side up. Along with the Fox's details, black ink will also be used to print the press mark for the Saturn Press Company, as well as the series number and title on the back of the card. Now we have completed a letterpress greeting card. The title of this card is Vix. With each color section printed, here is the final product of the Fox card. A beautiful new example of ephemera made from repurposed vintage ephemera crafted by hand on antique letterpress equipment.